But you look at next season, and you're thinking with this squad, I know a lot of players are out of contract and what have you, but you know what? Where are Celtic going to be at the start of next season in terms of squad strength and depth? Because this team is a mishmash, isn't it? I mean, it's and that worries me more than, you know, from Celtic's point of view. If, you know, if they go on and win the league, they go on and win the league. I don't think that I don't think Celtic will, but that worries me. That, you know, where's the strength in depth for years to come, and you know, nobody knows who's going to take over. Maybe you guys know, or have heard whispers, but I do hope there's some sort of underlying plan in place or being put together, some masterpiece being muddled together.
It's getting done very quietly, if that's the case. It's the biggest secret in Scottish football if it's happening behind the scenes. That's the question, but isn't it? Who's the manager? Who's the head of recruitment? The director of football, you want to call it? These are positions that are all chairman. It's not a chairman beyond the summer. It's a heck of a mess they're in for the summer. But to get through the rest of the next 7 games, it's going to be hard enough. But goodness knows what's down the pipeline. Some amount of work required.
So that's what I was actually, before you brought it up, Chris, that was going to be my next question. I mean, Swanee, do you hold any faith at all that, I mean, you've just said it, Mick, sporting director, manager, on the pitch, goalkeeper, strikers, midfield, you know, it almost feels like the entire club needs to be dealt with in such a short space of time in the summer. Personally, I've got no faith that will be done to a high standard in the summer.
Celtic have to pull a Brendan Rodgers stroke Ange Postecoglou style out of the hat, a manager, not a coach, a manager, to go and sort all of these things out. Because if you look at when Ange Postecoglou came in, he basically took control of the whole thing and built a team in a season. He built half a team in the first half of the season and then went and finished it in January. Yeah. And he got Maida, Hatate and Matt O'Reilly to finish it off. And it's going to need somebody of that ilk, I think, because I don't think they're going to be able to get all those positions filled that you're talking about, sporting directors, director of football, to work in tune with a coach and all that, to get it sorted in time for next season. I don't think you would have to bring in a manager and trust him to go and get his men, his players, use his contacts and build from there. But is that going to be allowed to happen? Is it going to?
Let's hope they don't go down the Aberdeen route, getting a sporting director from abroad and then just getting someone in who lumps it.
Chris, that's exactly right. That's the point. They need to get the manager first. Forget all the other stuff. Go and get the right manager, and he'll sort the rest of the stuff out for you while you're fixing the things in behind.
Yeah.
Swanee, what you're saying there, does that rule out James Bertholascu then? When you're looking at a manager who has got the experience, the knowledge, the contacts to see over that overriding strategy, is Askew not a coach who could do a good job if he has all that behind him, but he's not bringing that with him, that's for sure.
How do you know that, Mick?
Because I've not seen, he's not that kind of man. He's not had that. Well, there's no evidence to suggest he's got that. He managed the Pharaoh. He's a manager in the Pharaoh, he's a manager in Mull, and he's a coach at other clubs.
Disrespectful, that, Mick, to the Pharaoh.
Listen, let's be honest. There's certainly plenty of experienced managers who have lost their marbles up here, who have managed at experience levels.
All I would say, and I understand the way you see it with him, but it's a bit like, I don't want to keep going because we've talked about Postecoglou, you know, so many times on the podcast and in columns, but like Craig said, you know, Postecoglou was a manager, but his recruitment, you know, the Japanese boys are still the boys that Celtic are relying on all these years later. But nobody knows whether Jens Bertholascu, you know, doesn't have a list as long as his arm of players. He may have a network behind him. I think his agent, I used to play with his agent, Bjarni Goldbeck at Chelsea. He was a terrible midfielder. I was a terrible striker. But he may actually have, you know, players coming out of his backside who are going to suit Celtic. I mean,
you're saying. You're saying nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows if he has or not. I'm saying that's the risk. I don't know if you're bringing a guy who. Listen, I think Askew is a tremendous coach. He's done a brilliant job at Motherwell. I think he's got the tools to be a really good Celtic manager. If they had a chairman, a sporting director, a recruitment team that was functioning, if he had all these building blocks behind him, I think, bring him in, be a kind of a forward-thinking club and get an up-and-coming manager. But without those pieces behind him, I think he'd be a sitting duck.
I mean, so it's interesting, isn't it? Because the question to you guys then, do you think the next manager will be a puppet?
Hard one.
Well, or an employee. I don't know if that's the same word or the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know, do we? We don't know what Dermot Desmond's going to do next. We don't know what he's going to do next. I mean, he's come under fire in recent times, and I think Celtic fans have every right in what's happened to put him under scrutiny. But he has pulled Brendan Rodgers and Postecoglou out in the past. The onus is on him to go and find another one. That's what he's got to do. It's as simple as that. There's no other way around this. You're not going to put all the rest of the pieces in place in time for next season. He needs to go and find a manager that's going to fix everything in one go.
Yeah.
Same as because they both did it.
But there is times when you can gamble on an up-and-coming manager, but the state that Celtic got themselves into, you're giving the guy... Listen, Wilfred Nancy might have been a good Celtic manager if he was appointed in June and had a structure behind him. He came in December and jumped into an absolute mess. And listen, we know he made mistakes, major mistakes, and paid the price. But he never really had a chance, really. And then you look at Martin O'Neill comes in the January, and he's promised by the board that they're going to do everything they can to fix the mistakes from the summer and give this club the best possible chance of competing for the title. What did they go and do? Look at what they went and signed. I mean, Martin O'Neill had the embarrassment of basically confirming 2 new wingers on the Thursday night after the European game. And then by the Monday, those 2 guys weren't there, and they signed Mavuka and Adamu instead. So, I mean, a rookie came into that environment. Unless these real solid foundations are in place, the guy's going to be on a height of nothing. That's why I think it might be a job for a proper heavyweight and relative term manager who can handle and who can steer the club in a different direction, rather than someone who's going into something that's a bit of a shambles.
Yeah, I agree with that, and you know, I just look at the way that Martin has handled things, and I think he certainly different. I don't know what you guys think. Sort of from his spell when he was manager when I was there, even the Schmeichel thing in the week, he was quite softly with that. I can't imagine him being softly with that 25 years ago. I just can't, even with the players coming in January, because I think he realizes how delicate the situation is at the club. I think he realizes that he has a fragile dressing room. So his game is trying to keep everybody on side, trying to keep that harmony, trying to talk the signings up in January when I'm telling you, he's not having those signings. I'm telling you, but yeah, that's the game that's the path he's sort of gone down, and I do understand that, because really, when you look at things, what's his alternative? So I saw online he was getting criticism about the starting lineup at the weekend. I would love these people who are sort of criticising the starting line to try and pick a Celtic team at this moment in time. Who's a nailed on certainty? Who you think, wow, yeah, we've got him. He's all right. Tanetki, I always felt he was a better impact player. I mean, he went missing when he came on. Yesterday, He's got we've been through the stuff, the centre forwards, midfield positions, Negrin being an enigma. His goals, brilliant, but missing in action a lot of the time when Celtic want to control a midfield. You got the defensive issues which Celtic have had. I thought yesterday he was criticised. I saw for putting a Tati to right back, but Celtic are trying to get back in a game. And with the greatest respect to Anthony Ralston, as much as I think he's an all-in type of player, he's not Cafu, is he? In terms of so I answered that thought process, but Celtic are desperate, and they're playing like a desperate team, and with every selection every weekend, I bet Martin is just scratching his head like we all would be.
Yeah. The very last thing, guys, before we wrap up, Chris, you kind of answered it.